What's up, everyone? AJ on Day Trader Boom or Bust here with today's recap. I hope you had a great trading day and finished the week off solid. I finished the week off, unfortunately, in the red. It was a challenging week psychologically for me because if you've been following, you'll know that I implemented some rules to help me address some areas that I feel I need to improve on to help me to become a better trader. But I'm not going to really talk about what my findings are for the entire week. I'm going to try and record a recap of the week this weekend. But as for today, I feel I left a lot of profit on the table due to what I would consider to be poor trade management. So let's take a look at the trades today and see what I mean by that. This is today's watch list. I post this every morning between 9 and 9:15 a.m. on my Twitter. If you want to be sure to catch that, go ahead and give me a follow at AJ Tabayan. So on the primary watch list, I had Baba and Mara, both had news catalysts, and I had CCL, which had earnings this morning. And I also, on the secondary, I had DKNG and Facebook, which were based off of what I saw on the daily charts. And I had PLTR, NVIDIA, and LCID Lucid as continuation plays. So let me address what is probably the most glaring thing on here. If you've been following me, you'll see that I took 8 trades today. That's 3 trades more than I was allowed to take. And we're going to talk about that and what it ultimately cost me. But more importantly, like I talked about in the intro, I really feel today was all about poor trade management, because I feel that cost me quite a bit of profit, and I was green for the day. Unfortunately, I kind of let the cat out of the bag there a little bit. Those 3 extra trades obviously cost me that green day, but let's take a look at what I started with. The first trade of the day was on the NVIDIA. So here it is. I played a nice opening range breakout. This one was a little bit on the riskier side. When I say that, it's because, so you can see here NVIDIA on the 1 minute chart here through a doji candle setting this low, and this is the high. And then, so that was an indecision candle, let's call it. It's not really so much a doji, but it's more of an indecision candle, as it wasn't sure what direction it was going to go in. Then it had this second, I consider that really an indecision candle also, with a similar body height. So when it pushed below the body of the opening candle, I kind of looked at the L2, and it definitely looked like it was weak. So I went short there with a stop loss just at the top of this candle. This trade immediately worked out for me, went in my direction, and easily hit my 2-hour profit target. So that was a great way to start the day, particularly given the way that the week has been going. So after I took that, you'll see there's other trades here, but let's, the second trade I took today was actually on Baba. So this was, it's unfortunate, but, I'm not too upset. Just I wish this had worked out, because it should have. You can see that Baba here had an opening range in this area here. So when the price pushed below this area here, and more specifically below the pre-market low here, I went short. And when I went short here, unfortunately, it pushed back up on me. It never tested the top. So if I had set my stop loss above the high of day at the time, I probably would have been fine on this trade, because it wicked off of the high of day and the 200 SMA here on the 1 minute, and then immediately just sold off. So disappointing that I got stopped out here, but it is what it is. But that was my second trade of the day. After that, I went back to NVIDIA, because I thought it definitely worked out for me, and I wanted to see if there was more opportunities on there as continuations, because it seemed to be picking a direction in terms of being a short for the day. So what happened was, as you can see here, it pushed up, and this is a continuation play I've talked about several times. You can see that it wicked off the 20 SMA here, and then through this doji indecision candle. So I was watching this, and when it pushed below that, I went short. And this is where the poor trade management starts to come in, because again, something else that I've talked about the fact that I didn't really want to be moving my stop loss to break even until I was at least 1.5 R. Oh, sorry. You know what? That wasn't the issue with this. Sorry, I mixed this up with another trade. With the problem with this trade was that I have a trade plan. I enter here with a stop loss above the top of this candle, and my 2R profit target was right here. And what did I do? I took profit here. Now, I guess this is kind of justified in the sense that this was at the time low of day. It was also the S5 Camarilla pivot point level, and it was the close from 2 days ago. So I expected it to get a lot of resistance here. And because I already had a winning trade and I just come off a losing trade, I was kind of trying to protect profits here, and I took a partial here. It obviously continued to move my direction. I took another partial here, but this, had I just held on, and this is the problem with this, there was no indication, even though there was these levels, there was no indication that this was going to come back on me. Had I just waited, this would have easily hit my 2R profit target and put me at the time, it would have put me at green 3R for the day. Instead of that, I took these small partials here, and then was waiting for an unrealistic level, which was down here, to try and get, at my 2R return. And then it came back and stopped me out at break even there. And because of that, I ended up only with 0.7, I think 0.7 R on this trade, as opposed to a full 2R return. That's a lot of profit to leave on, on the table. At my current risk level, that is, about $90 of risk that I just, or profit that I left on the table. It's not profit that was unrealized. I hit my 2R profit target, but because I didn't stick to my trade plan, I failed to realize that profit. And the thing that disappoints me about that is I am over trading aside, I have no problems honoring my max loss on the trade because I use hard stops. It's never been a challenge for me. I don't bag hold. I don't hold on to trades. And if it hits my stop, it hits my stop. I'm out, and I just look for another opportunity or another entry. But if I'm going to do that so diligently and religiously, then I have to also book my profits as per my trade plan so that it all works out. That's when the trade book works out. That's what, that trade book was built off of data that supports that. And when I do things like this, I just, I'm not giving my my trade book opportunities to fully work. And I think that one of the other reasons psychologically that I took these partials here is because obviously for the week it's been challenging, and I really wanted to see, I'd be lying if I didn't say I really was aiming to have a big day to close the week off, which was probably the wrong mentality to have. But because I started the day off well, and then the BABA trade I just talked about was so close to being a big winner, and had this just been that 2R winner, then I would have been up 6R for the day on the first 3 trades of the day. That would have been awesome. But now I'm, with this trade, not only am I well below the 2R that I started with after that first trade. But I also didn't realize, like, look, this is a huge amount of profit that I left on the table. So anyways, it's just, that's how I felt, and that was the mentality that I had on that, and that was very challenging. Now, the other thing is that my stop loss was up here. You'll see that it never touched, it never even came and challenged my stop loss. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Actually, I want to talk about the third trade. That's where this applies. So you can see I took another trade here, again as a trend continuation on NVIDIA, because I really felt it was just not, it was having trouble pushing and holding above this pre-market low level, or pre-market high. What was that? Sorry, was that pre-market high or pre-market low? Let me see. That was pre-market low. So because it failed to hit that, when it pushed below this level, I went short as a trend continuation, and once again it went in my direction. My stop loss was way up here, and my 2-hour profit target was down here. Okay, but I took a partial again here and moved my, when I took that partial, I moved my stop loss to break even. This is where I was talking about earlier. I said it's the wrong trade. This was not 1.5R. This was, I was looking at these levels, and had I left my stop loss where it should have been, I would not have gotten stopped out here, first off. And you'll see here, let's move this over. Look at that. It would have easily, first off, it never would have tested my stop loss. This was my entry. My 2-hour profit target was, again, somewhere in this neighborhood here. So now my win here was minuscule. This is 0.2R, not even, I don't know. And I get stopped out. Instead of me holding and waiting and getting my full, this would have been my 4th green trade of the day. I would have been up 8R on the day had those other trades worked and had I stuck to my trade plan. Instead, I get a tiny return on this trade, and you can see here, there's another trade here. Because I saw it continuing, I entered here short, chasing now. Now I'm chasing. And what happens? I take a full, actually with slippage, I took almost a 1.2R loss on this trade. Not only should I not have taken that loss, I should have gotten this 2R. And this should have been a 2R. Okay, let's put that BABA trade. That came back on me. That trade just didn't work. Fine. That's 6R minus that 1R loss on BABA. I would have been up 4R for the day. So much profit that was left on the table. And that would have been the end of my day. This here was my 5th trade of the day. So that's what happened there. Now, obviously I took some extra trades and I was looking at Mara. Now, my first trade, my 6th trade of the day, I'm going to tell you, was an error. Not just because it shouldn't have happened, but because I actually, for whatever reason, maybe it was because my head was kind of spinning with all the profit that I had missed out on. What had happened was I totally forgot that I was only supposed to take 5 trades for today. So I fully thought that I had another trade I could take under my belt. And that's what I did on Mara here. So let's pull up the 5-minute chart because it's a little bit more apparent here. So here's the 5-minute chart. You can see that Mara was kind of building a ascending triangle here. So this was a level. You can see it through these 2 wicks here, and then it pushed off. But I really felt that it was bullish because there was a lot of inventory up here, and like I said, this was an ascending triangle. I went long when it pushed above this whole consolidation area here. Unfortunately, it failed to clear this 100 SMA on the 5-minute chart. Came right back to me and then ended up stopping me out. Um, at that point, I realized that I had taken an extra trade. It was a loser. And now I took an extra trade. I left all that profit on the table. And this losing trade here put me in the red for the day. So I was that just it really frustrated me. And at this point now, I'm trying to make back. And I'm not really thinking clear. Like I said, this is ascending triangle. I'm clearly not thinking well because what I did here was I actually took a short because I thought, okay, well, I trade the range. Thought it might trade, it did come down, but it didn't hit my 2-hour profit target, which was down here because it clearly didn't break this level and then came back and stopped me out. That trade stopped me out for 0.5-hour loss. And it stopped me out at 0.5-hour loss because now I'm moving my stop loss aggressively because I know I'm cheating myself, quote unquote cheating myself. And I took one final trade. I went long because that really was the right play here. But because I got long over here with such a wide stop loss, since I've gotten stopped out a couple of times, my profit target was just above this S4 level. You can see it never came up there. It came so close, 1.5 hours, over 1.5 hours. So I did move my stop loss to break even, and unfortunately, it came right back on me. Sorry, that I just want to point. This is the exit. It ended up stopping me out at break even, and I actually even lost $7 due to slippage. So when it was all said and done, had I stopped at the 5 trades, I would have been green, 0.8R. Not great, but that was my fault for poor trade management. And it's even more my fault that I turned a 0.8R green day into a 0.8R red day. So you can see here, 0.8R in the red, just because I took those 3 extra trades. And again, if you've been following me for the week, with those 3 extra trades today, and then the 3 extra trades I took earlier in the week, that totals. So this is 0.8R in the red. So because I should have stopped at 0.8R green, really those 3 trades cost me 1.5R. Just like the 1.5R, the 3 trades I overtraded on Tuesday cost me. So really, I'm 3R more red than I should have been had I not broken those rules and overtraded. That's what the overtrading cost me. Now, the one positive I can take from that is the fact that I'm 3R in the red because I overtraded 6 trades this week over what my rules allowed me. But had those rules not been in place, had I been trading like I was in the past prior to this week, who knows how much I would have been in the red if I had just been trading recklessly and had no limit. So the limit is doing its job, I guess, so to speak. I just really need to stick to it. So this week, again, I'm not going to do a full recap right now, but I think overall for the week, I'm red. I think 8R maybe, but as I said, it should have probably only been 5R red, because those extra trades ended up costing me 3R that shouldn't have happened. But we're gonna work on that. And overall, it's a shame because today should have been a really good day. Poor trade management and also over trading. So we're gonna focus on next week. I like the direction that these rules are taking me, and I fully expect next week to be a much better week. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, I hope to set aside some time to do a full week recap and just kind of review the data that I picked up in just this short week of implementing those rules, and then move forward from there. Thanks for tuning in. This is AJ on Day Trader Boom or Bust. I'll see you on the next recap. Cheers.